Bless the Lord, O my soul, blessed art thou, O Lord. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name.
May the blessings of the Lord rest upon you. Many years ago, I lived in a neighborhood in Portland, Oregon, that we all would get together once a year in the summertime for a community picnic. People would barbecue in their front yards, and all the neighbors would come together bringing food and drink and interacting. Some of us, we only saw each other at that time because we were all busy going about our lives. And I saw a man talking to one of the neighbors, and my first thought was of judgment. That what is this guy doing in this neighborhood? He certainly doesn't live here. He's probably some homeless person that was walking through the neighborhood and saw free food and decided to hang out with us. And then a little later, I was talking to another neighbor, and this man comes up and engages both of us in conversation. And my initial thought was, I just want to walk away from this. Who are you? But then I remembered how my dad would have reacted to somebody like that. My dad would have been warm and friendly, just like he was warm and friendly to a golfing buddy of his who was so poor that he lived in a cabin, an old log cabin with a dirt floor with linoleum over it, and his 5 children. So I smiled, and I introduced myself to him. And by the way, I was wearing a sport coat and a bow tie, so I was completely different than this guy. And then he introduced himself to me, and it turned out he was an author and a professor at one of the colleges in Portland. And I remember how shocked I was when I heard this. And it ended up that he and I formed a friendship from that moment. And when we think about how Jesus would have looked if he was walking through that neighborhood, remember, Jesus had no place to lay his head. And on those dusty roads in Palestine, his tunic and whatever he was wearing would not have been anything but a lot of dust. And he wouldn't have had time like the rest of us and location to bathe. And so what did he look like? He probably looked a bit disheveled. Certainly comparing him to the Romans, who were really pretty much full of pride about their own culture. And they looked down on the Hebrews, and then here's this man, who's sort of a roaming preacher. And yet, think of the loss in our own lives if we had turned away, walked away from this man because of his image, because of what he looked like, because of his attire. The Lord Jesus has instructed us to love everyone, to be good to everyone, to forgive everyone their sins, even our enemies. That's what the Lord taught us to do. And sometimes that's not easy, but with the Lord, it's possible. Let us commit ourselves to walking this path into eternity with love in our heart that extends to everyone that God brings into our presence, including homeless people or poor people or uneducated people, people that we maybe from our own fallen nature we would judge them as beneath our dignity. Why bother even speaking to them? But remember that the Lord engaged the woman, the Samaritan woman at the well, when other Jews wouldn't have even gone near her. We want to image what Jesus has taught us to do and to love everyone. May God make it so.
If you have found this content to be a blessing, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and glory to Jesus Christ.
Both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen. Only begotten Son and immortal Word,